Unveilng by Linda Pastan. In the cemetery, a mile away from where we used to live, my aunts and mother, my father and uncles lie in two long rows almost the way they used to sit around the long planked table at family dinners, and walking beside the graves today down one straight path and up the next, I don't feel sad for them, just left out a bit, as if they kept from me the kind of grown-up secret they used to share back then, something I'm not quite ready yet to learn.
When you read, we'll start with the title. At first read, the word unveiling could mean many things. Unveil itself means to remove a veil or covering from, especially uncover as part of a public ceremony. But the connection is really made when more is known about the author. Linda Pastan is a Jewish-American poet raised in New York City. This helps readers to understand that the title is likely in reference to Jewish funeral ceremony called the Unveiling. Shiva.com describes it as this. Within the first year after the passing of a loved one, mourners and their family gather at the gravesite for a ceremony called the Unveiling, the placing of the tombstone. At this event, a grave marker is put into place and the monument is formally dedicated. There are a variety of specific customs that revolve around the gravesite to honor each person who is now deceased. It is a spiritual time for the family to comfort each other and remember their loved ones. In the poem, when Pastan writes about remembering these family members, she may be referencing this feeling of attending one of these ceremonies and the feeling of retrospection and remembrance it brings about. She is looking back on the good times she had with her family and her past. The tone of the poem agrees with this thought. It is not sad, but more retrospective and bittersweet. She is no longer sad about her family members passing, it seems. She just misses the good times she spent with them. Anyone who has lost a family member or close friend can relate to this feeling. While it is still new, you still feel confused and sad about their absence, but by the time a year passes, you're likely just happy to have spent the time that you had with them. You miss them, but you think of the happiness they brought you.
Pastan makes a connection to her childhood with the lines, just left out a bit, as if they kept me from the kind of grown-up secret they used to share back then, something I'm not quite yet ready to learn. She relates the death of all her family members to a secret. As a child, the adults in her family would keep secrets from her that she was too young to understand or hear. Now, as an adult herself, she feels as though they are doing this again while they are all dead, buried together in a row, while she is still alive, walking past their graves. She understands that she is not yet ready to die, or not quite ready to learn the secrets of death, similar to how she felt as a child, knowing she was too young to understand the adults' conversations. The poem gives an almost calming feeling towards death. Pastan is able to come to peace with the fact that her family has died and that she is not yet ready to join them. As the poem goes on, the more comfortable Pastan becomes with the idea of her family's death. She uses very basic words and short phrases throughout the poem to help mimic her short, fleeting thoughts as she walks through the cemetery to visit her dead relatives. This style of writing helps the reader to get into the narrator's mind and better understand her emotions and sadness. It also forces the reader to focus on each individual word and the message Pastan is trying to convey. The way the poem is written is vital to understanding its meaning. Death is a very common topic to write about, whether it be in songs, movies, books, or poems. Many writers try to convey their feelings through their writing and talk about how their lives have changed since the death of their loved ones. Pastan took a bit of a different spin on the typical writings about death. Pastan talks more about her feelings of loneliness and feeling left out now that all of her family is dead together while she is alone walking on earth. This is not typical, as most people who write about death just speak of memories and sadness and missing those that they have lost, not feeling jealous that they are not with them in the afterlife. While Pastan does briefly mention some memories, like the family dinners she used to have at the long tables, she doesn't go into much depth on them. She also does not try and turn these memories into feelings of sadness, but rather relates them to how her family is now dead. For example, she relates the long tables from her family dinners to the way the gravestones look in a row in the cemetery. Pastan has a very mature view on her family's death and seems almost slightly optimistic. While Pastan does write about death like many others, she takes a very unique spin on the way she does it.